So apparently 15 minutes is as long as I can talk. So we're going to have to split this one up into two. I'm going to use that abrupt ending to be a sign that I should speed things up a little bit. And so just to real quickly recap, right before I got cut off, we picked our tool at a 1/4 inch flat end mill. We disabled the coolant. We sped the spindle speed up to 21,000 RPMs. And then we confirmed this cutting feed rate here was just under 40. We're going to run with that for this one. So then we went to the second tab, and I actually misled you on that second tab. We don't want to pick a face contour. We want to click on this drop down, and we want to pick a pocket. So I'm going to click on pocket, and then I'm going to click the bottom of this S. I want to see, it used to let me pick stuff. Oh, here we go, on the same plane. So I just need to actually pick the bottom of that S, and then it'll pick all these other letters on the same plane for me. And like on the P and the A, it should leave those center sections alone because they're on a little bit higher plane. Okay, we're going to skip over this heights tab. If we wanted to change the depth we were cutting, but we didn't want to change our design, we could fool around with some things there. We don't need that for this intro video. Oh, before I can leave the contour tab, I do need to click OK. All right. So we're going to skip over heights. We're going to go to passes. And actually, we don't really need to do anything here. Sometimes we'll set multiple depths. Let me uncheck that now. If I hover over here, it'll show you what multiple depths does. This allows me to cut if we were going to a real deep depth by stepping down and making a few passes. We're only going to cut into this plastic 1/10 of an inch, so I think one pass is fine. Okay, this multi-axis is a new one. Our CNC router is a 3-axis router, so we don't need to worry about that. Then we're going to come down to the linking tab, and where it says leads and transitions, we're going to turn off our lead in. We're going to turn off our lead out. If you've used the plasma cutter before, you know a lead in and a lead out is where it kind of curves into the geometry we want to cut. We don't want that with this. We want that router bit to plunge right straight down and cut. So now that we've done that, I think we've got our toolpath ready to preview here. So let's click the OK button. We'll let our computer think. And now on my screen, you can see a couple things. There's some blue lines showing up. That's the center of our 1/4 inch cutting bit. That's the path it's going to follow. There's some yellow lines. That's where the router is going to lift up and it's going to travel in space. And there's this kind of ghosted looking cylinder with a red triangle at the bottom of it. That represents the cutting head of the CNC router. So I can kind of quickly preview this here again by clicking the top button. If I zoom in, I can kind of start to see the tool path it's going to follow, but it's not super clear. So I'm going to go back to a 3D view. I'm going to use my roller ball to zoom out and pan over a little bit. And again, I can kind of see what's going on here in this 3D view, but not super clear. So I'm going to come to the simulate with machine button now. I've got some things that I've checked and unchecked. So I would say make sure when you're in here, you've got stock turned on, right? That represents what my board's going to look like when the router starts. Then I can hit this play button. This will show me the letters in order that the router is going to cut out. Right. While this is cutting, we can check out this info tab. This tells me what direction it's at. I can watch the Z position. Right. I can see when it's cutting into the material. It's a minus 1/10 inch. That tells me how deep it's cutting. The other thing we can check out here is the statistics. Right. This tells me when it's running at full speed, it's going to take 4 minutes and 29 seconds to follow this tool path on the CNC router next door. All right. I'm going to go to next operation, and it'll speed this up and kind of finish engraving my sign. And so I like what I've got here. This looks pretty good to me. If you're not happy with the way this cut out, we can do some editing. I would say come see me at that point because I don't want to cover every situation in this video. I like what I got, so I'm going to exit my simulation. Right. The last thing we need to do is we need to turn this tool path that we just generated into some G code that we can program the router with. So I'm going to click on this post-process button now. All right. And where it says post, I want a Mach 3 mill. Right. If it's not there, I think there's a button over here you can click to access the library. And you should be able to find the Mach 3 mill. If you can't, again, come see me and I can cover that. I can't show you because it's already installed on mine, right? CNC machine wants to name everything by numbers. This gets confusing for our class. So instead of calling this 1001, we're going to call it the spin sign. All right, maybe you want to get a more descriptive name than that, feel free. For your output folder here, you're going to plug a USB drive into your computer and output to that. All right, and then the last thing we want to do over here where it says safe retracts, right, yours might be closed up right now. Hit that safe retracts, and we're going to set it to G28. Right, our router seems to run best when we use a G28 versus a G53 for that. So I'm going to save this to my desktop. I know I just told you to save it to a USB drive. I'm going to save it to my desktop so you can see what's happening here when we finish this. And we're going to hit the post button, which is like our save as, and it says it's been successfully done. We can view our code by coming over here. And this is all that G code that you just generated. So this is telling it which X, Y, and sometimes Z coordinates it needs to move between to cut out that sign. All right, so if you've got to this point, you've got pages upon pages of G code saved here, you can take that USB drive, find your instructor, and we will get this set up next door in the shop. All right, hopefully this video didn't bore you to death. I know it was long. I apologize. All right, good luck with your sign.